very good evening and warm welcome to Power News. You're waited to the power sector. I'm Juhi Rajput. Let's start the program from news of the week. The Power Ministry has proposed a relaxation in norms for 25 big projects that are being implemented at a cost of Rs 1.61 lakh crore by companies, including NTPC, Jindal Power, Reliance Power and Lanco Infratech, to help them avail fiscal benefits under the Mega Power Policy. The ministry has asked the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs to grant more time to the companies to sign power purchase agreements with distribution companies and allow tax benefits proportionate to the tied-up capacity. In addition to that, the government has also eased qualification norms for companies bidding for the two proposed ultra-mega power projects in Odisha and Tamil Nadu, and also amended a clause on fuel charge to attract developers in a slowing economy. To discuss how much these initiatives could boost the private participation and regain their confidence for investment in the sector, we have with us Mr. Sanjay Sagar, JMD and CEO, JSW Energy. Mr. Sagar, private investment in power sector dipped by 44% last fiscal. To address the concerns of the private sector, government has amended bidding guidelines for Case 2 projects. How much do you think the amendments brought in standard bidding documents will boost private participation in the sector?
Well, contrary to boosting investment in the private sector and the power generation, I think the standard bidding documents which have been brought out now will have a negative effect on the investment coming in. Despite extended negotiations over the last year and a half, I don't think the government has been able to address the main issues which were put forth by the generation companies through the APP. Most of those issues have been left unaddressed, and in the present circumstances, I don't see these documents attracting or boosting the investment in the generation sector.
Well, it has been observed that very few states have come up with power procurement tender. Do you feel the revised Case 2 bidding guidelines have addressed all the issues concerning states, IPPs and finances?
Well, the revised Case 2 bidding guidelines have not really taken a final shape thus far. And a lot of tweaking and modifications have to be done in the bidding guidelines for attracting, for generating the generators' confidence, so to say. For example, it is very necessary that while allowing pass-through on the coal, the categories of people who are companies who are generating on captive coal, companies who are generating on linked coal, and companies who are operating on imported coal, they have to be segregated and the bids have to be called separately. It is very necessary for the government at the same time to ensure that generators who've got access to captive coal or to linkages supply their power only against long-term bids, and the short-term market per se is left to the people who are generating with imported coal.
Power equipment makers and generators are at loggerheads as the government contemplates making domestic equipment sourcing mandatory for mega projects. How will it affect the entire power chain and upcoming projects?
See, I think it's a very retrograde kind of a step. We are again coming into, the old license Raj kind of a thing, where we are restricting competition. There are not a large number of choices in the in the domestic sector as far as power equipment is concerned. They are not very competitive. I am saying this despite JSW being a BTG manufacturer, a TG manufacturer, and despite that, I'd feel much more comfortable if the competition was thrown open to non-domestic companies from outside India also. It would certainly help in bringing down the project costs. And the domestic generators are, the domestic manufacturers are free to compete. So if the basic idea is to bring down the cost of generation, then we can't have this kind of a reservation, because it is bound to sort of lead to some kind of a cartelization also. You have the risk of cartelization, and open competition would certainly bring down the price of the projects and thereby the price of power.
Recently, Cabinet Committee on Investment has cleared power projects worth over Rs 83,000 crore. Under current circumstances, do you feel country is in a position to attract such a huge investment?
Well, the generation sector is still suffering from a lot of problems, primarily arising out of the availability of coal. The government has tried to take a lot of positive steps to try and clear these bottlenecks. But so far, if what we see happening is that Coal India is still assuring people about 60 to 65% of coal for their generation capacities. The balance is to be imported. Now, bringing imported coal into a project which is not port-based or which is located in the hinterland is a very major problem because of the infrastructure constraints, the cost of transporting that coal. So, unless the availability of coal becomes a certainty on one hand, and there is adequate demand by way of long-term tenders on the other hand from the distribution utilities, I don't see this investment coming at a very fast pace. It may start trickling in, but I don't see it coming at a very fast pace. The sentiment regarding the power generation sector is very low. The financial institutions are still not willing to touch us. So in those circumstances, I don't see this 83,000 crore project which have been cleared. Maybe some of the bottlenecks have been removed. The government is trying to be fairly proactive, but given the circumstances where the Coal India production is where it is, I don't think the government can go thus far and no further. So the most important thing is for us to, number one, increase the coal production in the country. A country like India, which is sitting on more than 200 billion tons plus of thermal coal reserves, has actually no business to be in the import market and import expensive coal and generate expensive power.
Thanks, Mr. Sagar, for joining us in Power News. Independent power producers are facing several issues such as unavailability of coal, rising coal price, and above all, poor financial health conditions of DISCOMs, which are causing dipping of private investment in the power sector. Recently, central government has taken various decisions to remove uncertainty in minds of private power producers, but developers feel that still most of the problems remain unaddressed. Considering all these constraints that have been the cause of slowdown in power sector, it seems that these investment would flow in, but at a slower pace. Here we'll take a short break, but there is a lot more on the other side. Stay tuned.
Indian Energy Exchange, India's premier power trading platform.
From manufacturing of energy cables to EHV installations to renewable energy solutions to retail energy products, our technology energizes lives. Ravin, energizing lives.
To turn movements into a ballet, you need a choreographer. To turn products into integrated solutions, you need Larsen & Toubro. L&T's engineering expertise, manufacturing capability, and application experience by introducing new levels of pace, performance, and convenience at major utilities around the country. Integrated solutions in electrical and automation from Larsen & Toubro.
Power Grid Corporation of India, the central transmission utility, world-class integrated global transmission company with dominant leadership in emerging power market, ensuring reliability, safety and economy. Power Grid, building a smarter grid.
Welcome back. Keen on taking advantage of the National Solar Mission, the public sector unit, SJVN Ltd is also making foray into the renewable energy sector. SJVN has an investment plan of Rs 23,000 crore in the next 10 years and plans to add almost 4,000 megawatt capacity through different forms of energy by the year 2020. A leading hydropower mini Ratna PSU, SJVN has also ventured into thermal power generation. To talk on company's performance and future growth plan, we have with us Mr. RP Singh, CMD SJVN Ltd. Mr. Singh, how has been the performance of SJVN Ltd in the last 1 year?
See, last 1 year, The SJVN performance is, we start with the mega and the mighty project of NJSPS, which is already on the path of achieving more than the design energy of 6612 million unit and achieving highest ever plant ability factor of over 105%. Till yesterday night, it has generated 5,573 million unit, well ahead of something around 250 million unit ahead of the last year's generation during the same date, and plant ability factor of around 108%. If you see 10 years, last 10 years of performance, despite the teething problem and the O&M problem this plant has faced being so large, our officers, our workforce, they have done the work tirelessly and overcome the situation and that problem. So, this is how about NJSPS.
And what are the major issues concerning hydro sector in the country? After Uttarakhand disaster, concerns are being expressed about the environmental impacts of dams on rivers. According to you, what should be the way forward for sustainable development of hydro sector?
Well, it's a very good question. I will limit my answers to your question to our projects and the projects of SJVN only. See, we are sitting here in Jhakri, is not it? And you can see all around. Whatever we have lost, cut some trees, we have planted 10 times of that. You can see around. So this is how I like to show. You can, if you feel like, you can take your camera down the line and show to the world that SJVN, how it does the project and how sensitive it is with the environment. Some reason or other, hydro has taken a back seat in the country. See your 150,000 megawatt of capacity, we have been able to harness only 40,000 megawatt. So something more need to be done, and this country is capable. It is fully backed by Ministry of Power, and a good time is ahead, and we need to develop hydro, and we will be developing hydro project.
Mr. Singh, SJVN is also venturing into thermal sector. Which are the upcoming thermal projects and how has been the progress so far?
So far the thermal power project, our thermal power is 1320 megawatt. See, this company has taken a diversification plan way back in the year 2011. And I can only share with you that it has taken the diversification in transmission through Arun 3 project in Nepal, to windmill, almost nearing completion in the state of Maharashtra, thermal of 1320 megawatt in the state of Bihar, and of course, SJVN is all set to enter into 4,000 megawatt solar mission, solar power plant being developed in the state of Rajasthan. And this all has happened in a span of 2 years' time. What I see that 10 years down the line, renewables is going to be a key energy sector, fulfilling the needs, energy needs or energy security of the country. And SJVN, if they are there in the field of renewables right from the beginning, they will not face any problem and they will be coming as a big player in renewables as well.
SJVN is also venturing into solar sector. What are the recent updates on this front and how are you planning to grow yourself in solar sector?
See, what we have done it is under the Ministry of, there are several ministries involved. There are 5, 6 partners. They all big giant like BHEL, like Hindustan Salt Corporation, SJVN, Power Grid, these all PSU companies. They are mandated, as I understand, to develop 4,000 megawatt, starting with 1,000 megawatt in phase 1. And what I understand about solar, this is going to be even 1,000 megawatt of solar energy is going to be the first in the world. And that will be developed in 3 years of time.
After being a big player in hydroelectric sector, how has been the shift towards the thermal sector?
So far the thermal power project, our thermal power is 1320 megawatt. 2 units of 660 megawatt supercritical technology we have adopted. 65% land acquisition has been done by the state government there, and it will be handed over to SJVN. So far, our team, our SJVN team is already there in the site, office created. We are doing all the infrastructure works, and hopefully infrastructure work will be taking around a year time. And then these 2 units of 660 megawatt, that is 1320 megawatt, shall be commissioned in all respect. We propose by the year 2018 and 19. So from 5 years from now, the project will see the light of the day.
Thanks, Mr. Singh, for joining us in Power News.
Thank you.
It's time for another short break. Keep watching Power News.
Indian Energy Exchange, India's premier power trading platform.
Jal, jal, jal. Jal, jal, jal.
जल से जल तक, मेगा वाटर से मेगावाट्स तक, SJVN Ltd.
Power Finance Corporation, the most preferred financial institution, providing affordable and competitive products and services with efficient and internationally integrated sourcing. PFC, partnering the reforms in the Indian power sector.
Welcome back. You're watching Power News. Light at the End of Tunnel, a book written by Mr. R.V. Shahi, former Secretary Power, was released by Minister of State for Power Independent Charge, Shri Jyotiraditya Scindia. R.V. Shahi, a stalwart of the power sector, has served the sector for most part of his career and has occupied the top positions in the sector. His earlier works include Energy Security and Climate Change, Indian Power Sector, Challenge and Response, and Towards Powering India, Policy Initiatives and Implementation Strategy. Take a look at this report. Minister of State for Power Independent Charge, Shri Jyotiraditya Scindia, released the book Light at the End of the Tunnel, authored by R.V. Shahi in a ceremony held last week in New Delhi. Also present on the occasion were Bangladesh High Commissioner to India Tariq Karim, Justice Anil Dev Singh, and Ajay Shankar, Member Secretary, National Manufacturing Competitiveness Council. While releasing the book, Power Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia said that this book could be helpful in understanding the issues concerning energy sector, and it could provide ample opportunities to observe, analyze and prepare a critical appreciation of various issues, including possible remedial measures.
So on this day, I'd like to salute Shahi Sahib for his contribution to the sector in the past, for his contribution to the sector in his current form, and for his continuing contribution as he goes ahead to write what I believe is his 6th book going forward. I think in him we have a veritable repository of knowledge for this sector that must be drawn upon by all of us, not only today but in the years to come.
R.V. Shahi was the Secretary Power, Government of India from 2002 to 2007, the longest serving Power Secretary in Indian history. During his 5-year tenure as Secretary, the Indian electricity sector witnessed a major restructuring of the power sector through formulation and implementation of several legislative and policy initiatives aimed at creation of a competitive market structure. He has contributed and presented many papers at various national and international conferences and authored several books on power sector. The book Light at the End of the Tunnel, Way Forward for Power Sector is a compilation of his various articles, and it attempts to capture all the contemporary issues concerning not only the various segments of the power sector but also coal, gas, environment, climate change and energy efficiency. In the company focus segment, today we'll talk about inland power. Diversifying from logistics, jewelry exports, tea plantation and bearing business of the inland group, Naveen, the Executive Director of Inland Power, the young dynamic ISP graduate, has ventured into the power sector and presently developing a 126 mega power plant project in Jharkhand with almost 630 crore investment. Naveen Somani started his first venture at the age of 26. To talk on company's vision and growth plan, we have with us Mr. Naveen Somani, Executive Director, Inland Power. Naveen, first of all, I'd like to know that what motivated you to venture into the power sector?
On our side, we thought that we were already into services, we were already into exports. So industry and infrastructure were the areas where we want to get into. Power was the first area that we focused on. The area that we wanted to capture or enter into was actually a niche area in power, not something of a scale level where we did not want to get into hundreds of megawatts right away. We wanted to enter into a smaller scale whereby we can, with a environmental thought in mind, that the country generates a lot of industrial waste out of other activities which can be used in power in feeding as a fuel in the boilers, and that would be serving two purposes: taking care of the environmental issues arising out of those industrial wastes, as well as generating power on the side. So considering that in our mind, we've gotten into the smaller segment with industrial waste as our primary focus area.
Tell us in brief about the project you are developing in Jharkhand and how has been the progress so far?
Inland Power Limited, our power subsidiary, a power venture, is based out of Jharkhand right now. Our first project, which is 2x63, the first project which is 63 megawatt, is coming up in Jharkhand right now. The second 63 will start after this, and we will be able to complete it by 2015.
Naveen, according to you, what are the major bottlenecks and challenges independent power producers are facing in the country?
There are lots of challenges, there are lots of bottlenecks, the main being policy guidelines being changed quite often. Power being a long gestational business, policy change every 2 years actually hurts the investors who have adhered to one policy area, and suddenly the game changes. Another area which could be better is helping power and other infrastructure sectors on a single point of contact basis. If single point of clearances are given, maybe it will be expediting the projects a lot more.
Lastly, tell us what is going to be your growth strategy and target in the near future?
IPL has planned on a short term basis and a long term basis. In the short term basis, we have plans to expand this 2x63 is a completion, and furthermore into wind and solar areas, solar power areas. On a long run basis, in the existing Jharkhand setup, we have plans to do, we estimate that the wastes available can help us go up to 600 megawatts also. Whether we will be able to complete it by 2020 or 22, we are still debating, but that's our long range plan. We are also very much focused on renewables, which is solar and wind. Upcoming area that is we've seen some lights is the hydropower sector, and I think some smaller hydro in various states are being offered to us now, and we will be able to do one or two projects in the same.
Thanks, Naveen, for joining us in Power News.
Thanks a lot.
With this, we come to an end of this episode of Power News. Keep sending us your suggestions and views at info@indianpowernews.com or call us on 011-405-60701. I'll be back next week with more news and updates. Till then, goodbye and take care.